So good afternoon and welcome to you all who are tuning in for Vocation Café. And this is the space when quite often we talk about different ways of life. I had a chance to talk with many people who experience different ways of answering God's call in the vocation in their life. So Missionary Oblates of Mary Immaculate is the missionary congregation. It was founded in France, and after that expanded to Canada, to Sri Lanka, and all over the world. And currently we are really present in 60 or so countries around the world. And OMI Lacombe Canada province has been connected from the beginning with the Kenya mission, and we are very happy to have our Kenyans joining the Oblates and new blood coming in. So I'm very happy to welcome today to our conversation Moses, who is the scholastic from Kenya. But Moses, maybe introduce yourself. Like, where are you from? Where are you right now? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Moses Wafula from Kenya, and I'm a missionary oblate of Mary Immaculate, currently a scholastic studying in San Antonio, Texas. And basically, I come from a family of 10. My parents are both alive, and I'm the sixth born out of the 10.
It's a big family.
Yeah, it's quite a big family in the old good days.
You mentioned to me when we talked a couple of days ago that you are actually not from the area where the Oblates work in Kenya. Like, where are you from? Where were you born?
Yeah. So, like I told you, that I'm from the coastal part of Kenya, and I met the Oblates kind of virtually because it was not an in-person contact that I experienced the Oblate, but it was through a magazine. Like I told you, just to take you back on my vocation story, if you allow me to.
Yeah.
Kind of it all started as as a young man, very ambitious, trying to do everything that the world kind of says that you ought to do. And I wanted to be successful, and I wanted to impress people. I wanted to draw attention to me. So, like I said, I was pursuing my career as a freight forwarder doing logistics, and I wanted to form a company that will serve the East African region, because I went to a regional institution, Bandari Maritime Academy, and so I wanted to do marketing. I wanted to do marketing and kind of just broaden my career from that, carve a company and pursue good life. But then, it was in that cause that kind of God spoke to me, drew me from having many dreams and being far away from Him to being close to Him. And so my vocation started as with having that, drawing myself towards Christ, kind of Christ drawing Himself to me, and having that intimate relationship with Him that kind of opened my mind, opened my heart to new realities, to what is going on in the world, and what does the world need. Does the world need successful people, or people are committed to Jesus? People are committed to God's mission of taking care of the poor, taking care of those who are vulnerable. And so these drew me to thinking about the poor, because every time you talk about Jesus, you're always talking about the poor. And so the intimate relationship with Jesus led me into an intimate relationship with the poor people, the vulnerable people, kind of praying for them and being there with them, trying to love them. And I was convinced that perhaps I could use my career to serve these people by having kind of becoming rich and giving them donation, giving them money, giving the resources. But I think as I continued discerning, I think I felt that was not sufficient. That was what I thought. That was what I wanted to do, but that was not what God wanted me to do. And so that process of discernment led me to move from kind of from shifting from drawing from attention into intention, from
Hmm.
the outside to the inside. What does God really want for me? And so that was what led me to thinking about what God wants for me. And so this led me to I met I came across a magazine in the library when I was doing my studies on the Oblates. One of the journals had published, and it was advertising about them. And so I went into searching to know who they are.
Hmm.
And what drew me into religious life, of course, first was Jesus, and second was the poor people. But what drew me to the Oblate life was mainly Our Lady, the Mother of God, our patron. And second was the founder and his charism.
Hmm.
I looked at the life of the founder from the internet without going into books, into Lifelong, and the deep books that talks about his life. Just looking at what the internet, kind of the top part of it,
Hmm.
from a shallow end, I could really know that this man is great. This man had a special mission, had a special calling, and I related
Amazing.
my
It's
own
amazing
life.
when you are telling about your vocation, your personal vocation. It's very similar echoes what Saint Eugene himself experienced, like that Good Friday experience, that overwhelming experience of God's love in his life, and he wanted to respond to it, and it went to the poor. So it's truly, it seems like you had that oblate flavor in your vocation from the beginning.
You're right. I really felt that this is the man whose life I found to be very compatible with my own experience. Moving from uh, being where he was in a very secular world with the dream of becoming rich, to a man who really wanted to be close to the poor, to salvation of souls was his greatest dream, responding to the needs of the poor. And so I found myself so much drawn into the charism and the life of the founder. So that's what really drew me. And I felt it was God leading me because I had not applied to any congregation or any diocese. I had not discerned with any other congregation. So I just found these, and I felt very much at home and very comfortable with the mission and what the Oblates are doing in the world.
We can hear from Eleanor as well. Welcome, Eleanor, to tuning in to our conversation. He offers flavor Moses and an invitation of Saint Eugene the Mazenot to walk with him, sharing his spirit. It's very powerful. And by the way, welcome to all of you who are tuning in to our conversation. You can interact with us. You can post the comments on Facebook. We will see them and address them as we talk. So you said you find out about the Oblates from the magazine. What was the next step? Like, how
So,
did you contact the Oblates? How did you find them?
so the next step was, like I told you, after looking at the magazine, I went onto the internet. I wanted to know much more about this congregation, apart from the name of Mary, Oblates of Mary Immaculate. Kind of my devotion to Our Lady kind of drew me to that name. But then I wanted to know further, what does this congregation stand for? So I didn't know much into about kind of what it means by the charism. But then when I went to the internet, I was able to discover much more. They talk about the charism, what do they do, and what do they stand for. The life of the founder, which was kind of very profound to my own vocation and my understanding of the oblate world. And so I saw what they have done with the poor, with the missions in Kenya, and I was drawn into that. And so the next thing after I gathered information to kind of support what I've already perceived with the magazine, and then I wrote to the vocation director who was, and still it's Father Fortunately Tanda, a very great man. I wrote to him, and after close to 2 weeks, he called me on phone, and he invited me for a come and see to go to Meru, which was kind of close to perhaps 8 hours or something that kind drive away from Mombasa, where I was at that time.
Because Mombasa will be on the west coast, right, of Africa.
Yeah, you're
Morocco
right.
will be more in the mountains. Am I correct?
No, the Mombasa is not. No, it's just on the coastal waters.
Okay.
Yeah, east coast.
So that was the first journey that you took. It was the bus journey towards your
Yeah,
vocation.
yeah, for the Kamansi.
So when you decided the Camency, obviously you make the decision that you want to join. And as I understand, we have the pre-novitiate time in Kenya first. Where did you do your pre-novitiate?
Yeah, so in Kenya, actually, our first stage formation in Kenya is the postulancy that takes 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah, which is after the process of discernment and talking to the formators. I was invited to start my formation in March. That was 20. I went for the Kamansi in December 2014, and 2015 March, I, I started my formation with a postulancy in Meru for
Okay.
1 year. Yeah.
And what
And
will be
then,
next after that?
and then after the 1 year postulancy, I went for the next stage information in Nairobi. That's the pre-novitiate. It's in St. Joseph, Blessed Joseph Sabula pre-novitiate in Meru, Karen. I mean in Nairobi, Karen, where I stayed there for 3 years. That is from the 2016 to 2019.
So maybe tell us a little bit, those who are like watching us and kind of wondering what the postulancy is and the pre-novitiate. What did you do there? Like it was like you prayed all the time or you work all the time. Like how did it look like?
I think from my own experience with for the postulancy, the goal was to help to kind of help us get integrated into the oblate life, know how to balance prayer, work, and a little bit of studies, especially on the life of the founder. Kind of not very much spirituality and all that. That was the postulancy. But then at the pre-novitiate level that I took up next was the 3 years. The goal of the pre-novitiate is to grow in your understanding and ability to live in the community. So community life is the goal of the pre-novitiate.
Hmm.
How knowing how to spend time with your brothers in the community, how to work with them, and how to go about whenever issues arise in the community. That was the goal for the pre-novitiate. And of course, we also have the philosophical studies. But of course, every time I think all the academics is always secondary. Of course, it's very important, but I think it's always secondary to a life because life can be comes before academics.
We have one question for you as you are sharing your discernment and the journey. And this is from our another scholastic from OMI Lacombe, Canada, from Kenya Mission, from Charles. And Charles is in the International Rome Scholasticate in Rome. And as he says, I'm impressed with Moses' vocation journey. Just to ask, what are current challenges in your discernment journey? Like, what do you find? And maybe like looking at the pre-novitiate and like, what was really challenging for you in this discernment?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I felt is quite a challenge that this is something that we have to live up to is the vocation to religious life, the vocation to priesthood is always to be. It's kind of is a call to live, to be countercultural, kind of to swim against the wave. To do something that is different from what everyone is doing, something that you'll most of the people find comfort in doing. And I think that element of not kind of swimming against the wave has been quite a challenge for me, and I've always struggled to be countercultural, to live the gospel, to be able to challenge the status quo, and to let my life be kind of the gospel to the people. That's something that I've felt a very big challenge to be a witness, in a secular world.
It's kind of a growing process too, because you will have the challenges will be coming at you, like the new challenges wherever you move. And for you, it was a huge change going from Mombasa to Meru and then to Nairobi. And you have, in my understanding, even in Kenya, when you come together to the pre-novitiate, you come from different backgrounds, like from different groups or communities. And this is the first challenge to kind of find the common way living, even living together, as you said, in the community. But I just want to address here the question. Denise, Paul, and was joining us and was watching, but obviously not everybody can stay on for the very long time. So thank you to all of you who are just tuning in for a moment. I just want to assure you that this conversation will be on Facebook, will be saved, will stay there, and as well will be available on YouTube afterwards. So Moses, just following that conversation on the challenges and the cultural challenges, we talk in Oblate, and you are the part of the conversation when we have forward together discerning our future as the province. And one of the big conversation came up interculturality. We are within the province, we are coming from different cultures, and how do we live together in the community? And for you, even like coming from Kenya, you went to the novitiate in the States, in Godfrey, Illinois. And after then moving down south to Texas, it's completely different culture as well. Like, how do you find yourself in that cultural differences where you travel from Kenya to the States and down to Texas? Like, what do you find the most challenging, but as well, what do you find the most rewarding? Like, maybe there's as a gift that you received there. Just tell us a little bit about the experience of the cultural differences.
Yeah, I think the cultural difference from, of course, whenever you go to a different place, you always have that element of cultural shock, kind of
Mm-hmm.
something very different from what you used to have in your own country or in your own culture, and kind of that time of adjusting and accepting the reality. But I think that's always the challenge of trying losing what you've always kind of that you have already built in your life, losing what you're used to doing, something easy. I still struggle up to now to let go of certain aspects of my own culture. Not that what I'm adjusting onto is wrong, but just because I'm used to doing things in that way, and maybe I want to pray in a particular way. I want to sing in a particular way. I want to eat in a particular way. I want to eat certain meals. Especially when it comes to meals, that's something that we struggle to let go of what we used to eating. And one thing that's always a challenge that you know you can't find what you eat in Kenya sometimes in this country,
Yeah.
and so you have to adjust because it's kind of you're compelled by reality to adjust. But I think the most enriching part of it is that kind of you get exposed, you get to know other cultures, and you take something on board which you never had before, which
Mm.
will be the most rewarding part of it. But also you also know how to. I've also learned how to embrace difference. Kind of sometimes difference doesn't mean that we can't get along. Difference means that we come together and make ourselves compatible. We talk to one another. I think the most rewarding thing with these with Oblate life is every time you go to a different community, you'll have a meeting.
Mm.
You'll have a conversation and talk about with the way forward. Now we've come from different cultures. First of all, let everyone share his culture. Where do you come from, and how do you live life? And so everyone will share his own culture, and then from that, you're able to know and understand one another.
Yeah.
So I think that has been should be the what has been the force behind my ability to live in a different culture. The call for a dialogue for us to talk to one another and know how to accommodate one another, so that when I talk about something, don't get offended. It's because maybe my culture
Mm.
does, but also the need to be accommodative. Sometimes you have to let go of certain things in your own culture, and sometimes the other people have to let go of their own things in their culture. So that element of compromise,
Mhm.
yeah.
I think it's very enriching, especially seeing that in our Oblate communities, which is so international and intercultural. Like it used to be in the past, the concept of inculturation, that whoever missionaries came to another country, to the communities, they were supposed to fit in, like kind of accept the culture that they're coming in. But I think these days we are more talking about interculturation, which is respecting each other. And as you said, like the dialogue that we have with each other, that we find a compromise, we have the same oblate charism, but it's enriching when we have members in one congregation coming from so many different experiences. Moses, I'd like to ask you, maybe you can explain a little bit to those who are viewing. Uh, you came from Kenya Mission, and sometimes we mention as OMI Lacombe Canada being connected and to missionary work in Kenya. Like, tell us, what is it like? What the Oblates do in Kenya? Like, what kind of ministries they embrace? Like, tell us a little bit about Kenya Mission.
All right. Yeah. So the Oblate Kenya Mission, just to mention the history a little bit, yeah, they were founded in 1996, and when you look back to what they've done, kind of the foundation they set for the mission, they were
Mhm.
great men who had the zeal for the poor, for the salvation of souls. They kind of really laid down everything for the sake of the people that they worked for, the people that they served at that time. And so we have four main missions in Kenya that we're currently doing, and we work in parishes. Well,
Mhm.
right now we have four parishes in Kenya, and then we have a prison ministry in Nairobi with maximum prison for the women, and then we have JP, justice,
Mhm.
peace, and integrity of creation is another mission that we do, trying to preserve the environment, also trying advocating for the voiceless people. And then we have the youth ministry. We have people who working with the poor. We're having retreats, organizing retreats, recollection, bringing the young people together once in a year, or at least annually, once in a year should be good for them. And then we also have the formation ministry, preparing young men who join the congregation to respond to their call and to take care of teaching them how to respond to the needs of the people, to serve the people according to their call.
Tell me how many oblates are and oblates who are working already there, and how many information are in Kenya right now?
Yeah, so we have currently we have 15 oblates who are working in the country in Kenya.
Mhm.
Uh, I think seven of them are Kenyan, and then eight are from other countries. And then we have in total right now we have 10 scholastics. We have five in South Africa, Sidara, and then
Mhm.
we have two in Cameroon, and then we have one in the Philippines, one in Rome, and one in the United States. And then we have one who is in the novitiate in St. Joseph novitiate in South Africa as well. And then we should be having close to seven young men who are in five in pre-novitiate and three in
Mhm.
postulancy.
It's truly a blessing to see how the young men are responding to the vocation in Kenya, and coming, answering that call, and following the mission and ministry of the poor. And I think it must be really challenging, like even the language wise. And we talked a little bit about the cultures earlier, but you mentioned that some of them are in Cameroon, which will be French basically. In the States, you will have English. What is the main language that you would be using in Kenya? Like,
Yeah.
that's probably will be a challenging too, isn't it?
You're right. I think we have Kenya. In Kenya, we have English as a formal language
Hmm.
in terms of especially in school. All everything is taught in English. But I think to when you go outside to relate with the people, the language that they use is Swahili,
Hmm.
which and people love Swahili very much. We really struggled in the formation in the pre-novitiate to speak English because we were used to speaking Swahili. That's the language that we find ourselves comfortable speaking in. And so kind of adjusting to an international community because for example, in the pre-novitiate and even in the postulancy, not everyone is from Kenya. We have people
Hmm.
from all over the world, people who come to work in Kenya. We have people who come to study in Kenya, Oblates who come to study in Kenya. And so you have to kind of let go, your attachment from Swahili or whichever language you have, so that you speak a language that kind of that creates a bond between each and everyone who is there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, like you mentioned that we have four parishes in Kenya, and prison ministry, youth ministry. So I assume that like the parish would be Swahili, or they will be served in English, like the
Swahili.
liturgies. Okay,
Swahili.
perfect.
So we have Swahili, but also we have the the other native languages that we speak. We have 42 that are used, 42 languages that are used in Kenya, and so most of the time it's always a mixture. You use Swahili. Everyone understands Swahili, but also when you speak in the language of the people, like our founder spoke Provencal when I'm preaching to the poor people. They're able to feel the message better. So we also encourage our blessed are encouraged to learn the native languages too.
That's wonderful. It's Swahili like present in more African countries, or is a certain part of Africa? Because I remember Father Greg Oshus. He went to Kenya just before pandemic, and quite a change for him. He left the missions in the north and went to Kenya, and he went for language to Tanzania to learn Swahili. So was it like for more countries like is Swahili? That's the main language, or like just give us a little bit background about it.
Yeah, Swahili is one of the fastest growing languages in Africa. It should be not the fastest, but it is the largest language
Hmm.
in terms of use in Africa. Currently, it's used in more than 8 countries, and it was adopted by the African Union to be the
Okay.
official language for all the African countries. And now we have countries like South Africa,
Hmm.
Zimbabwe, Namibia, who have introduced Swahili in their curriculum. Now they're now teaching children how to speak Swahili, so that
Amazing.
Africa has a language of its own, like many other countries, many other parts of the world have their own languages. So it's a growing language, and the future seems to be great for Swahili speakers in terms
It's
of being
amazing.
able to relate.
Yeah.
And
So
from Kenya,
and it comes in communication really. So
yeah.
Moses, we have a couple of questions here. Let's see. One comes from Kafafa. Thanks for sharing, Moses, and all the best as you continue this journey. And here's the question: how do you balance your prayer life, studies, and community? Right now, you're in the scholasticate in Texas, and obviously, all of those are part of your life: prayer, studies, community. How do you balance that? How do you find that everything is in the right place?
Yeah, thank you. That's a very important question, I think. From my own experience, prayer kind of is one that holds, the center. It kind of holds everything together. Kind of once you let go, you fall in terms of prayer, then everything falls apart. studies won't make sense and community won't make sense. So priority, I give priority to prayer. And normally on my schedule, I have at least 15 minutes. Normally, ideally, the founder recommends that we have at least 1 hour before the Blessed Sacrament, private prayer before the Blessed Sacrament of silence. And so normally I have at least 15 minutes in the morning of private prayer before the common prayer, community prayer, and then have 15 minutes in the evening. And then after lunch during the day, I have at least 30 minutes of prayer before the Blessed Sacrament. So I maintain at least the 1 hour of prayer, and then studies. It all goes with according to schedule, trying to work ahead of time, trying to sacrifice. Sometimes you have to let go certain things like communication, a lot of movement, a lot of traveling, and all that, so that you focus on your studies. But also, community is very important because I'm, I'm able to pray because of community. I'm able to study because of community. So trying to be responsive to the community schedule and trying to set apart time for other people in the community whenever people ask for your help. You kind of, so basically it's the schedule, having scheduling everything in the right place has been helpful to responding to all these three key aspects in my formation.
And it's probably learning experience as well, because like you address as it comes, and it's a part of Oblate life. Like those Kafa mentioned, like prayer and studies and ministry and community, they're all in the heart of being an Oblate. And we have another very interesting question and comment as well. Eleanor mentioned about you have lots of lay Oblate associates in Kenya. Lay people are also responding to the call of Eugene the Mazenod in becoming a part of our Mazanodian family. It is joyous to see, and they are also a real to all of us here. Like it's a very important part of the Mazanodian family to have lay associates who are, and they are really present here in OMI Lacombe, Canada, but as well in Kenya. Can you tell us a little bit about the Oblate associates that you have in Kenya and how they participate in the life of the Oblate community?
Here, so the Oblate lay associates were founded by Father Jerry in Meru. Currently, we have many lay associates from Meru who take part in the charism of the founder, love for the poor. So they basically help in terms of supporting the mission in living the charism. Some of them are professionals, some of them are farmers, but they bring this, they live the charism by as lay people, evangelizing to the poor people through catechism, through visiting the homeless people, not homeless, but orphanages and all that. And they also do close in terms of participation, in terms of formation, visit young people who are doing formation. They help bring, kind of create awareness about the Oblate vocations. So they play a very big role in terms of the Oblate. They play a very big role in terms of promoting the charism, vocation-wise and ministry-wise.
So truly a gift to the church and to the congregation, especially from the time when Saint Eugene de Mazenod was canonized in 1995. It was obvious to all of us that the gift of Eugene's charism is not exclusive to the religious congregation. It's a gift to the church, and it's so wonderful to see that we have so many lay associates responding to the charism here in Canada and in Kenya as well, and all around the world. It's a real blessing for us. We have another question for you from Lopi and brother Stephen from Kenya Mission, from Cameroon. What inspires you most from the pastoral aspect of life of our founding fathers of Kenya Mission? Like when you look at back in the history, the founding fathers of Kenyan Mission, did you find some inspiration there?
Yeah. You know, I was drawn to the Oblate life because of my love for Jesus Christ and my love for the poor. And so, what draws me, I mean, what inspires me from these people was the love that they had for the poor. Not just love for the poor, kind of being present and assuring them that God loves them and all that, but also helping the poor to become independent. Because you don't help people making them by you can't free people by when you're making them more dependent on you. So
Mm.
the mission has always been committed to making the people independent, being able to be self-sufficient by providing education, for example, providing water, teaching them how to do farming in a better way. So that has been very inspirational, kind of bringing the gospel, but also feeding the poor like Jesus did. You heal,
Hmm.
you have as a whole organically.
Always close to the people, what Saint Eugene was inviting us always to do. Moses, as we are looking, as you're looking at your life, you're right now in the information, and the next you just renewed the vows in August for another year. The final vows will be coming soon. Like when you look at your future, like at some point you will be entrusted with the ministry in the Oblate congregation. Like, what are your dreams? Well, where do you see yourself in a few years? Like, what is your dream looking at the Oblate life and ministry?
Yeah, I've always been drawn to the mission anywhere in the world where I'll be in contact with the poor people. It might be in a parish setup, it might be in a special mission, but for as long as it touches on the lives of the poor people, that's where I want to be. For as long as, in a way, it helps to touch, to influence the way the poor people are evangelized, then that's where I want to be. So I have a dream of being in touch. That's all I want to. That I don't have a dream of maybe being in a parish or whichever place, but for as long
Mhm.
as the poor people are there, then that's where I want to be.
That's that's the open heart and open minded to as we have one of our vows is the obedience. So it's giving that heart to wherever God calls, answering to God's call. Moses, I want to ask you as the last question, like maybe there are some young people who are watching us who are wondering, asking themselves about what is my call, where is God calling me. Like, what would be your advice to a young man who is just wondering, like what is my purpose, what God is calling me to do? Like, what would you advise them from your perspective, from your experience?
Yeah, I think the first thing is having an intimate relationship with Jesus Christ, because He's the one who calls. And then, second, I feel it's very important to have an open heart and an open mind, not going to prayer with an answer. You go to prayer seeking an answer. So you don't go and then you say, I want to do this. You go saying that, here I am, Lord, I come to do your will. Let me know what you want me to do in my own life in response to your call, so that you get to know whether, if it's marriage, then it should be marriage. If it's, having that open heart and open mind whenever you're preaching God for prayer.
That's that's wonderful. Precisely, it's answering the call. That Vocation Cafe is all about
Yeah.
creating the vocation culture, because everybody has a vocation. Everybody is being called to, and I just want to thank you for sharing your story with us and inspiring us and letting us know a little bit more information about Kenya Mission. I mean, I've heard about Kenya Mission so often because we talk about it, and especially on the provincial council. But hopefully, I will have a chance to visit at some point. That's on my plan. Like, I would really want to be there, and pandemic happened, but that will be one of my dreams to have a chance to experience that meeting on the ground. And I want to invite as well the young men. If there's any young men watching, we very recently created a Facebook group for specifically for young men between 18, 40 who are just seeking, who are asking the questions. It's a safe place, it's a private place, so we have a hangout with like-minded men who are asking probably the same question. You can just check out our website or Facebook. There are links all over the place. And as well, I'd like to invite those of you who are watching us today. We'll be having another Vocation Cafe coming soon, probably within a couple of weeks. Recently, we introduced in St. Patrick Parish in Hamilton Moms Group, and Christina and Teresa, who are advertising and inviting moms to it, they refer to it as a vocation to motherhood. And as soon as I've heard that from them, I thought, oh, we have to talk about it. So that will be our next Vocation Cafe coming up very soon. So just stay tuned for exact time and dates. And thank you to all of you who join us online and who will be watching it afterwards. Moses, once again, thank you to you for joining in and sharing your experience, and wishing you all the best. And with the year, with your studies and your prayer and formation. And I'm sure we'll be continuing the conversations within Lacombe, and all the best to you.
Thank you very much for hosting me, and I'm praying for your mission as the Vocation Director, and I'm praying for all the young men who are joining, who are deciding to join the Oblates, and I want to assure them that they should count on my prayers, and I look forward to seeing them sometime as Oblates. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Have a great day now. God
Thank you.
bless.
God bless.